ritzy 5-star hotel in New York City. So this was taking place there at the Centene Corporation's annual Investor Day conference. Dick Kephart, Democratic leader for 30 years, is on that board. He gets over $300,000 a year to do nothing except make sure that people get screwed over in favor of this healthcare company. So someone asks him a question. Unidentified participant. Listen to this question and listen to this answer. And keep in mind, with friends like Democrats, who needs Republicans? Ready? Here we go. Here's the question.
Second question, one of the sort of existential threats that I always think about in this business is just a single-payer system.
So I don't know if you heard the beginning of that question. I will play it again. He says, one of the existential threats in this business is a single-payer system. So this guy is getting rich. They're all super rich off of screwing people over for health care. And they get to be the middleman and take all the money and deny you service and jack up the cost. That's why it costs twice as much in the United States as it does in other countries for better or worse outcomes, actually. We get worse outcomes and we pay more. So listen to that again. Here comes the question. This is a question to Dick Kephart, former majority leader in the Congress. Ready?
Second question, one of the sort of existential threats that I always think about in this business is just a single-payer system. And I know we've never gotten close on the Senate floor, but I guess in anyone's mind, I'm curious to get anyone's perspective. Is there a scenario where, this just isn't working? Maybe there's another bill in it, the HCA, and that doesn't work as well either. Is there a scenario where we're ever really contemplating a single-payer system in the U.S.?
Not in my lifetime.
That's the Democratic leader. 30 years, congressman from Missouri. He handed off the torch to Nancy Pelosi. That guy. You want to hear what else he has to say?
Yes.
He said, not in my lifetime.
I'm pretty old, so...
I love when they laugh about denying poor people health care. It's hilarious. We're getting rich off denying people health care, and let's laugh our asses off at the Pier Hotel in New York City.
But there is no way you could pass single payer in any intermediate future. And I've given you my editorial comment. This is the greatest healthcare system in the world, bar none.
For him.
If you're rich and you have great health insurance. Those are two big ifs. We know that 45,000 people a year die in the United States for lack of access. We know that old people cut back on their medicine. We know this. We know that young people also do that. They half their medicine. They take half of it, and then they die. They get sicker. So we're sicker, and we die, and we have higher medical bills, all because so these guys can be rich and laugh at everybody. And then he's going to lie. So he's lying right now, and he's sounding exactly like every corporate talking point that ever came from a health insurance industry.
Yeah, and the World Health Organization that polls people that live in this country other than rich people knows that we're actually 37th, not first, bar none. We're 37th.
So what are we, Ron?
We are 37th.
Oh, so Dick Kephart, we're not. This isn't the best. We're actually 37th.
If you got a real problem, you want to be in America. And if you look...
If you got a real problem and a shitload of money, you want to be in America. If you're a regular person and you're sick, you want to be anywhere else. Canada, the UK, Sweden, France, Italy, Russia, Syria. Yeah, Syria. Guess who has single payer? Syria.
Around the world where they have single payer, I think you will find, it covers more people, but they do not have the quality and they do not have the innovation that we get because of the involvement of the private sector in our healthcare system.
I mean, that's right out of a pamphlet
That is the right-wing talking point right there. Like, that is the right-wing talking point.
You know how they do all that research on how to cure diseases, those health companies, those health insurance companies?
They do all the research.
Yeah.
So wait till you hear the rest of this.
And I think that will defeat single-payer approaches now and in the future.
Hear, hear. Put me down as agreeing with Leader Gephardt. As usual.
Haley and I are both in the middle on this one.
If I might, thanks.
Haley Barbour. That was Dick Gephardt agreeing with Haley Barbour. Haley Barbour. That's who the Democrats are. That's what neoliberals are. Neoliberals, doesn't matter if you're Republican, doesn't matter if you're Democrat, if you're a neoliberal, that means you're a corporatist and you're hanging out with health insurance guys who are screwing people over, getting rich doing it. Guys like Haley Barbour, you're hanging out. You're in 100% agreement with Haley. And they call it the center. Isn't that hilarious? They're in the center. That's what he said at the end. We're in the center. No, the country wants single payer. 60% of people want single payer. 80% of people wanted a public option. So we don't live in a democracy anymore. We live in an oligarchy. Sure, we get to vote and everything, but that doesn't mean we live in a democracy. That doesn't mean that our representatives actually represent us. And so, by the way, what do you call a guy like Dick Gephardt? Dick Gephardt, who was 30 years in Congress, immediately started a lobbying firm, went to work for other lobbyists, lobbied against the public option, and now is killing single payer and doing it by spreading lies. What do you call that guy? A superdelegate. He's a superdelegate. He gets to pick who the president's going to, the Democratic nominee. He's super. Dick Gephardt. He gets more of a vote than you do. He's a superdelegate. That's who's running the party. That's who's running the party. And The Intercept caught it. Democratic superdelegate in room full of health insurance executives laughs off prospect of single payer. That's by Lee Fang. Most medical innovation. So this is what, according to The Intercept, Lee Fang, this is what you were saying, most medical innovation in the U.S. are already government funded through universities receiving federal subsidies and grants, as well as through the National Institutes of Health.
All right, Brad LaChance, thanks for being with us. That was the Jimmy Dore Show.
Bullshit.
You heard it right from the horse's mouth. What are your thoughts?
I was wondering why you're paying so much attention to that. Are you sick? Do you need the health insurance?
It's the corruption. It's when you find out the level. When you find out the level of corruption.
It's not really surprising.
But you always think there's a lesser of two evils. They're working together.
Oh yeah,
they're working.
Yeah.
You know, he was the House Minority Leader for the Democratic Party during the 1990s, and now he lobbies on behalf of the health insurance industry. These are the people that are supposed to be fighting that.
Right, based on his affiliation and being a Democrat, right?
Exactly. So they're all Republicans. Your entire government is filled with Republicans.
The Senate?
Well, they call themselves Democrats, but they're not Democrats.
Oh, okay.
So what are your thoughts?
Not much. There's nothing I can do about it. I do know that. Well, I'm confused because I have the state insurance and I've been to the hospital. Nothing serious, and which would be very expensive. I wasn't on the Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is all state, and I've never paid a cent.
So the entire. Well, here's my thoughts.
So, I mean, I don't understand. Were they talking about a policy that they are trying to get in?
Yeah, they want to do single payer where it all comes through. It all comes out of taxes. So if you're making more money, people that are making more money pay a little bit more, and everyone gets covered. It's like everyone's on Medicare. And the former leader of the Democratic Party is basically he's lobbying on behalf of the health insurance industry to stop it from happening. And he's on tape. He's on tape doing it. You know, Jimmy Dore had another show recently where Chuck Schumer, Senate Minority Leader for the Democrats, was at the same party. Not. This isn't a business thing. They were at the same party as Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, and the Koch brothers, like prominent people that are trying to destroy the working class of this country. Now, what are your thoughts about that?
Did you say the Koch brothers?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the Koch brothers?
The Koch brothers.
Yeah.
They're like. Huh. No, well, I mean, I've heard of it. There's some Koch brothers down the street, but that's a different thing going on.
So the Koch brothers, they put millions, maybe even billions of dollars into elections, trying to swing elections for right wingers.
Sure.
So they're all convoluting with prominent Democrats. Chuck Schumer, and there were a couple other names. So they're all in it together. I mean, I knew it was bad, but it's much worse than you think.
Much worse now.
I think it's always been that way, and it's taken a guy like Jimmy Dore, it's taken people like him to expose it. Because when you look at CNN, it's all about Trump and Russia, and it's all a huge distraction. It's all this huge distraction from what's really happening, and they're laughing all the way to the bank. Some truly evil people.
Greedy people, yeah.
And it comes from greed. Bernie Sanders, people are going to build statues, out of Bernie Sanders. He's going to go down as a Greek god. But wouldn't you rather have that than a couple million in the bank and a fleeting life? Wouldn't you rather be remembered as, a great person that did something positive for society, or would you rather just have the money? It doesn't make sense to me.
So you would take the money, right?
No, I wouldn't. I would try, because I know what it's like.
What's wrong with you?
I know what it's like to starve. I know what it's like I was homeless to not have food.
Okay.
I know what it's like to not have health care.
All right. I don't know. That's a tough one. What are you contributing? I don't know. I'm not going to really go into detail about this.
He has integrity.
I don't know. Integrity's good. Integrity's good. And then there's also the problem if you get the $2 million and you spend it, and then you lose everything, then you become accustomed to a certain lifestyle, and then it's like almost more intolerable that you have to go back and get that job at the hotel or whatnot.
Okay, let's say you're
back into that one-bedroom apartment and all that shit.
Okay, let me ask you this question. You're Chuck Schumer. You are the Democrat minority leader in the Senate. And you are given an invitation to go to a party. This isn't a business thing. This isn't to negotiate the Affordable Care Act or anything like that. But you're given an invitation to go to a party with Jared Kushner, Ivanka Trump, and the Koch brothers, who put millions of dollars into Republican politics to elect right-wingers and a right-wing agenda. Would you go?
Are you saying that he shouldn't, based on him being a Democrat?
He shouldn't. They're supposed to be the opposition party. And that's why Jimmy Dore, that's why they're calling for a new party. To Bernie Sanders starting a new party, to draft Bernie Sanders for a people's party. What do you think? This is a political show now.
Yeah, I would think of it as like being an individual and not really exclusively identified with a party. As that, well, I would consider going, but then if you are a Democrat, you have to worry about how people respond to you going.